Hello, today is May 1st, and I am sitting outside. Today being the weekend, my daughter's home and I'm not out yet, so if I want to record a video, I have to come outside, and I don't like hiding from my daughter, which is what I feel like I'm doing, but I see the necessity of it for right now, so. But I wanted to kind of talk about the next month. May 2016 is going to be a big month for me, this being my transition log and whatnot. On May 12th, in 11 days, I have my second assessment letter or session, and I'm seeking HRT, referral for HRT. So I hope to get an idea that when I can kind of expect it. I have a follow-up session like a week later, so it's going to be in the next 20 some odd days. I'm hoping to get it. And my plan at current is to, if I feel comfortable, I will go ahead and pursue seeking someone to give me the hormones and whatnot. Doctor. I have something lined up, but I have to have my letter, right? Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. So that's a big deal. Have my next laser session, and 2 days after that appointment, as well as the next group therapy meeting. So a lot of stuff going on in May. But the biggest thing is the hormones. And this morning, I was just trying to figure out, against my advice somewhat about step by step, but what would happen in the next 6 months if I was to start, and realizing that hormones affects different people differently depending on your chemistry. But assuming that for the first 2 or 3 months it's mostly mental changes, and then for the next 3 months maybe it's a little bit of physical things that you have to be kind of close to me to realize, and possibly 6 months out there would be physical changes that if you didn't know me you would begin to see. It would become obvious, right? I'm not going to wear a binder, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's like, trying to figure out the next 6 months, 6, 8, 9 months, has to be flexible depending on how quickly my body, my biochemistry processes it. Kind of planning out my next 9 months, at what point, if my wife doesn't realize what's going on, at what point do I tell her? And at what point do I tell my daughter? The agreement that we have, my wife and I, is that I don't present as a female around my daughter. Well, what do you do when you're obviously, you hope, right? You hope that those secondary characteristics, you hope you start to look more female, and or androgynous, and as well as when you reach that point, what I kind of call the threshold, where, let's say 6 months from now, I've been doing hormones for 5 or 6 months, and obviously I've not started hormones yet, right? Let's not jump too far ahead, but let's assume that everything goes well, which again I realize is counter to step by step, but there's going to come a time when I have to do that, have to be out at home. My daughter has to know, and I don't like not telling her, but I see the reason why. What was I going to say? I think, the threshold. You reach a point, I imagine, where the other transitions that I've seen on the internet, where, the facial changes, non-verbally, your face is changing, they talk about your skin, and obviously you think about breasts as being the most, visual, but those secondary things that are like, something's going on with that person, is that a man or a woman? But when you reach that threshold, you cross it, and more often than not, the person is going to see a woman. That's when do you tell your work? When do you, your friends and whatnot? That's kind of the exciting but nervous and scary. The next 6 months are going to be interesting. Some issues that I have right now. Obviously, if you've watched any of the recent videos, an issue of socialization, getting outside and interacting, which I kind of want to do, but at the same time you have to be given that opportunity. Your life just doesn't stop. So socialization, my voice training, obviously. I feel comfortable this way, talking, but how am I going to do that with other people? I find myself, when I go grocery shopping, talking this way. Sometimes to other people, sometimes not. Again, but there's a difference, I think, when you reach that point. When you're dressed and, again, those are the socialization things that I have to do and figure out what I want to do there. So there's that. So anyway, there's a lot going on, and I want to record it. It's part of this journey. It's part of this process. Again, that I've never really seen other people do. It's always, I've been on hormones for 6 months, and but really, that's about it. So I gotta go. Bye.